Hi everyone, my name is Electric Junkie and today we're back on the tutorial Python series. So in the last video we kind of did this little script here which was making you input a string, then converting it into a list and then putting it back into a string, just to prove how we could do these different operations on a string almost to lists. Now I was trying to do the easy way of doing this and I realised afterwards I was being quite stupid. So instead of doing all this, there's a handy little function we can use which is literally just called list, and we can just pass it in like that, and if we run the tutorial and pick option 2, although this line won't work yet, and no, this line, if we run this now we should see in theory there's a syntax error. That's beautiful. If we run this now and we pick the strings option, we put in a string, then it splits it up and it puts it back together exactly how we wanted it to. So that was what I was trying to get at last video, but we just ended up doing a really long way around and it didn't really work. But there we go. We fixed it in the end. I just had a little blank. So I've made another script called option 3. Again, refer to the first video if you don't really know how to make these. You should by now know how to make these, and I've just made an empty one that looks a little bit like this. This is just for testing. We're not going to keep this at the end. But anyway, today we're going to be doing a bit of random numbers. So we might do like a dice game kind of thing. It might go over 2 or 3 episodes, this one, because this is kind of a big one. But we're going to do a few different things. So we're going to import random. I believe we've done this before. If not, then basically we're importing the library random. So now what we can do is we can say random dot whatever randint is normally the common one. But since we're doing a dice game, we're going to make another little function here. So we're not just a bit like this. We're not just confined to our main. This is what we run here, but we can run other functions as well to make our life a little bit easier and a little bit neater. So we're going to call this one def roll, and we're going to actually have an argument in this one. So an argument is something that when we call it, so in this case we're rolling a dice with 6 sides, then it's going to pass this into the following sections. So in this case it's going to be faces, and we can just use the name. We don't need this anymore. So now we can go and use this faces variable throughout just this function, as if it's been passed in as a whole number. So if we'd passed in like 6, then we can use that as our rolling. So it's pretty useful to use, and we will use arguments quite a lot. Just remember that basically anything in here is a required bit for the moment. We might go into some unrequired variables later, and we will go back through these ones as well and do some error validation a bit later on once we've got the basics. So at the moment we've got the roll, so let's say in our main we can do roll 6 for the time being. So this is we're gonna run this, which is gonna call this one, which is here, and then it's gonna run whatever's in here. So what we want to do is roll, let's do 2 dice. So we'll do here die 1 equals that, die 2 equals that. So we get 2 dice, and there's an easy way of doing this. I'll go back to it a bit later. But yeah, now we've rolled the dice once and held it in this variable and here. But of course we need to make our rolling function, and to do this what we're going to say is going to make a number. So in a function, what you can use is a little bit called a return, which we do use in GameMaker but just not as much in scripts. So if we call roll 6 and we've passed in 6 faces, then here we're going to return whatever we put in the brackets here. So in this scenario we want to roll the dice, so we're going to make a random number. So we're going to use random.rand int, and we need a range. So in this case it's going to be 0 and then faces, which we can just pass in quite nicely, a little bit like that. So now if we were to print these two, here's a handy way you can print as well. If you put a comma, it just puts them straight next to each other. And now if we run this, we should see that two random numbers get produced between 0 and 6, or 1 and 6, because 0 is the lower bound, it doesn't hit it. And yeah, you can see there it's creating two random variables and putting them next to each other. 0 is actually there, so we'll change it to 1 for this scenario. That's incredibly rare as well to have two of the same. So now we've rolled the dice twice, we need to think about what our dice game is going to entail. So I think the most common example of this is kind of like if you get the same two numbers, then you add them together and times it by 2, otherwise you add them together and then that's your score or something. We'll go along those lines for the moment. So if die 1 is equal to die 2, and so that's all we're saying there. We're using the double equals to signify that we're comparing. So if they are equal, what I just said there is we're going to make a new variable called total. We're going to say equal to die 1 plus die 2, and then I think what we said was times it by 2 as well. Just like that. Else, if they're not equal, then we're just going to do total equals die 1 plus die 2, and then at the very end we're going to print total. Okay, so this is a really simple dice game. We will improve this as we go along with some loops and stuff, but at the moment we're in our default bit over here. What we're doing is we're calling the main function, which is here. We're then rolling one dice here and setting it to die 1, rolling another dice and setting it to die 2. We're then comparing them, saying if they're the same. If they are the same, then the total is going to equal die 1 plus die 2 times by 2, and if they're not the same, it's going to equal die 1 plus die 2, and then we're just going to output it to the user. So if we run this, our total is 8. I guess for the moment as well, it's quite useful to have some sort of output as to what numbers we did roll, so we'll do that as well. So we've got 4 and 5, and that's 9. We kind of want to keep going until we get to the same. It could take a while. 6 and 4, 10. 5 and 2, 7. Of course, you might be looking at this and thinking, well, this is quite a slow process. What can we do to possibly speed this up? Well, we can add a while loop. Seeing as while true loops infinitely, because true is always true, we can just do that, and that would effectively loop it forever. And that's all well and good, but I don't know about you, but I can't read them that quick. So another way we can debug things is we just add an empty input, which just leaves a blank space, and until we input anything it stops, it halts. So we've got an infinite loop here and the inputs here, so in theory if we just keep pressing enter or like G and enter, it doesn't matter. There we go, actually we've gone quite soon. So 3 and 3, so if you add 3 and 3 you get 6, so that would be our score if they weren't the same, but because they are the same we've times it by 2. So now we've proved using the debug methods here and here that this works. We can then get rid of these because these are not important. Shift tab it over and then delete the main, because we now know that this script works, so we can just call it straight from the tutorial. So if we're now here, I added some little bits to the menu as well. So if we did 3 for the random, and there we go, straight away we've got a pretty good score of 5, 5 and 20. So we will be improving our dice game a little bit more in the next video, but we've used random, which for me is quite a big thing. We've called another function as well, which is also quite a big thing, and we've done returns. So we've covered quite a bit in this video. In the next video we'll definitely go over and expand on this. So yeah, if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, as do as want to do, and I will talk to you in the next one.